This is Leaders Who Scale, and I'm Jeff Siegel. I've worked with thousands of companies over the years, and I'm fascinated by seeing how many of them grow and scale. Join me as we learn from the leaders of growing companies and share that knowledge. Leaders Who Scale is sponsored by Siegel Solutions, providing world-class accounting, advisory, and QuickBooks and Acumatica Cloud ERP services. Today's guest is a 25-year veteran of the pest control industry. He started out as a tech. He moved to the office. He got into sales and then into management, where he ran 27 techs. Before he left and started his own business in 2008. 2012, a fire wiped out everything. He could tell us about that in a couple of minutes. He had to basically start from scratch again with all his equipment, trucks, phones, computers, everything. 2020, he started franchising. He's got 5 franchises in 2 corporate locations. He's grown the company from 1 to 12 employees. He's the president of Complete Pest Solutions, located in Ohio. I want to welcome Anthony Farrell.
Well, Jeff, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for giving us the time today to talk about your journey. Looking forward to hearing how it's been going, how you started, and kind of how you're growing your company. So the first thing I'd love to know is really kind of what's the most challenging aspect of growing and scaling a business?
Well, you're going to have you're finding your employees. That I think we, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we find that to be one of the most difficult for sure. Is finding those employees, figuring out what works for you as a business, but then what works for them as an employee also. So we want to be cognitive of what they need to survive, to feed their families, to do that stuff. But then we're also cognitive of there are industry standards of what you pay, what the industry pays, and try to kind of blend those together. I always consider it like a marriage almost, where it's got to work for both. You're going to come together. You don't know this person, they don't know you. So there's a trust factor there that's also highly important, that you're going to treat them right. They're going to treat you right. So that is, I think, one of the hardest things, especially in today's climate where, you're hearing the rumblings of, oh, we want higher pay. We want, there's a standard out there. There is an industry standard, and that's what a lot of the industries go off of. So your pest control industry, you can go across the board and you can say, okay, how we try to divvy up our pay and our benefits is we look at the state that we're in. So what is the average pay for a state? What is the average benefits for that role in this state? Because if you go nationwide, the hard thing is you do have some, technicians in this field that make more money in California, but the cost of living is so much
beyond. At
the
end of the day, they probably make less. They probably take home less.
Correct. Yeah. So we try to do that. So I think that's one of the hardest parts. And for how long I've been doing this, that is not anything new. It's always been one of the toughest parts. I think we say the number, if you hire 4 people, 1 stays on. So if you hire 4, 1's going to kind of make it through the training and then give you that full benefit of training them out. So that's one of the hardest ones. The other one that in this industry that I think is starting to become that little bit harder thing is marketing. You've got so many platforms, so many areas that people can find you at. Which one works for you in your area, in your county, city, whatever? Back in the day, I mean, when I first started doing this, you had boots on the ground, which is your salesman knocking on doors for businesses. And then you had the phone book. And as long as your ad in that phone book was beautiful and caught their attention, you kind of knew how many calls you were going to get from it. You had that data. And then you had your referrals, of course. Now, today, you can go spend thousands of dollars on Google ads, and it might not work in that area for you as well. You just don't know. It's hard. So that's kind of the interesting part of it. That's a challenge that we're now coming to.
Do you find that your competitors are as savvy in the marketing side as, I'm not sure how you are, but it sounds like you're on top of it. You're kind of experimenting with the ways to bring in customers. Do you see that with other competitors?
I would say yes. We're in a small town. We're not in a big town in Ohio. We're in Youngstown, Ohio, which is, very kind of tiny town. We have some, competitors that have been around for a while. So they get the advantage of being here for 35, 40 years. So that reputation is just a killer. So when they do their Facebook posts, when they do their AdWords and stuff like that, they're more name recognition, where we're kind of newer in this area. Because when I started this, I started out in Canton, Ohio. So we've only been in the Youngstown area for like 8 years out of the 14 years I've been in business. So with that, we're the newer company coming in. So we had to kind of be a little bit more aggressive, I would say. But I still think, yes, they're savvy for our area. They do a good job. And, we try to take bits and pieces of what everybody's doing and then put it to us. So we're not kind of reinventing the wheel. We're just, we're trying to make it better for us. So.
How involved are you personally in kind of the marketing side of things?
We every day. We're trying stuff every day. I do have a marketing team. I let them go as much as possible, but I make sure that our Facebook posts are where they should be. I make sure that our LinkedIn stuff is where it should be. But for the most part, I let them fly and use their wings and their creativity. They're a young group, so that kind of is very beneficial because that's their game. My game was the phone book, so I know I'm a dinosaur in that area, so I got to use them. So,
well, they used to have those magnetic signs that used to put on the side of the trucks, right?
Yeah.
Years ago, having one of those.
Uh-huh.
That was advertising back then, with, like you said, the yellow pages. And as long as you had AAA or AA or something, you were right up front. As soon as I looked it up.
Yeah.
Those days are gone.
They are.
So so when you did go out on your own, it started out as just you, so you were doing everything, it sounds like, right? You were a tech and you were trying to bring in new business,
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So I started out knocking on doors, business to business, building my clientele that way, and then transitioning those business customers to do their homes. So now I'm getting residential customers. At that point in time, back in 2008, as soon back as that, the phone book was still where you went. So we did have a decent website, but we really pushed having the phone books in those areas that we covered. So between those three factors and then the referrals that come in, what's nice about being a single operator is you are the face. So I had the benefit of when I did this guy's house, that I did, his mom's house, his dad, his brother's house, because you're single operator, you're out there trying to make it work. People love that. So that was the benefit of it. So we grew, in that first year, I was able to put somebody on and bring a new employee in. And together, him and I did the same exact thing. He took on an ownership role of that technician, and he made his customers kind of his own, I would say, in a good way, not in like their mind, but in a good way, where he treated them very, very well. They loved him. We got a ton of referrals. And that's how him and I started like expanding out on that. So he came in as an employee, but he took ownership of his role, which was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of needs that. See, the phone goes off for you too.
It does.
Yeah, everybody, it's funny as you, what I've noticed, a lot of people I've talked to, including my own business, is you, as owners, we start out at kind of like, we get this vision, but we're doing all the work. And then as we kind of progress as a company, we bring on that next person, which sounds like is the same for you. It's like I brought on like this right-hand person who was just going to help me, or help us kind of like make this vision come alive. And so it sounds like a natural progression that even other people I've talked to. And the next role is somebody who starts coming in, and you may have this already, in putting systems in place, and we have contracts, but at the very early stage it may be like, okay, great, I'll be out there next Monday, and pay me, I'll invoice you afterwards. And it's interesting how we progress.
Oh yeah.
So at what point do you feel, are you still out doing things, or are you mostly right now managing, franchising?
Right now managing, franchising. I mean, a couple years ago, I would still go out and do a few jobs when we were over booked, and I'm looking at my routes and we're booked out a week and a half, 2 weeks, and customers are calling in, hey, can you catch this today? Our job is, because we do spend so much money in advertisement, when that customer calls, no matter what, we want to get to them, because that's what we paid for.
Yep.
So yeah, so if there's an overbooking where we're at the point where we've got our full staff, and now we're looking and it's like, holy cow, these guys are booked out a week and a half. We're starting to get to that point where maybe it's time for another one. I'll go out. I'll go handle those customers that come in. But for the most part, yeah, it's now putting systems in place. How do we better train our people? How do we give our customers better service? I mean, now it's to the point where we're taking everything that I learned and trying to perfect that. So that way, when a customer calls, when they hear about our name, that name is with good reputation. We're not going to make everybody happy. I know that. But if we can make our services better, if that customer feels when they call us, they're trusting us to come in their home, take care of their problem, and complete the issue, like not leave anything undone, then that is where I really feel like we're gonna make a difference and be different than the other companies, in my opinion. Because I am every day working on how do we make the experience for our customers better. So
yeah, I mean, how do you differentiate yourself from the I don't know, your competitors? I was say the Orkins of the world, because I always see them on TV, but because obviously pest control is not this glamorous industry and with bells and whistles. So these customers, I assume, are just the call me, your service done. And what sets you apart? Or what do you think sets you apart? Like what's your value proposition? I guess if I picked you and someone else out of the phone book or on Google,
right,
why would I choose you? I guess is what I'm asking. Yeah.
Well, I feel that, and again, this is, kind of self looking at it. What does set us apart is if you do call us, we offer all services. So you don't have to worry about calling us and saying, hey, I got a bat in my house, can you do it? We do it. If you got a raccoon in your attic, we do that. If you got termites, we do that. If you got bees, we do that. So a lot of my competitors either do one or the other. They either do wildlife or they just do pest control. There's a couple that intermingle it, but not too many. I think I have like 2 in my area that intermingle both. And so that sets us apart. The other thing is when you call our office, you actually get a live attendant. She talks to you right on the phone, and we actually walk you through how we're going to do that service for you. So, Jeff, if you call us up for carpentry, she's going to walk you step by step what that technician is going to do when he comes to your house. So that way you are informed of what service is being provided to you. Now, what that does is that holds now our technicians accountable. So when we tell you we're going to fog your attic because carpenter ants love attics, if that technician doesn't do it, well, right away, he didn't do his job very well. So so each step of the way, from the time that you call us to the time that we finish servicing your house, we are held accountable to you as the customer, because you know exactly what we're going to do every time we step in your house. So if you called us for a bee issue, she's going to walk you through how we're going to take care of that bee issue for you. So that way, if something is not done, then you can say, you know what, I was told this. but you're not doing it. How come? So there's an we want to set up an accountability with our customers that when our technician comes to your home, what you were told is going to be serviced for the money that you were stated. The other thing that sets us apart, we give you all the pricing pretty much up front on most services. So when you call up for that carpet ramp problem, you know exactly what you're going to pay when we leave your house. There's no gimmicks. There's no anything like that. The only one that is not a little bit harder is like when you get the bats or raccoons. Size of the house is taken into effect, how much damage was done. So those ones, we can't give you a price over the phone.
Sure.
But pretty much almost every service that when a customer calls our company, they're going to know what's being done, how it's going to be treated, who's coming to their house, how much it's going to cost them, and then the warranty that goes with it, all before they're even serviced. So I feel like that does set us apart because, again, we are holding ourselves accountable to that customer by telling them, here's what to expect on this service. It's not a phone call. All right, it's $200 and we'll see you tomorrow. It's not, you get the whole walkthrough of what that service entails.
No, I actually like the fact that, as you mentioned, the person on the phone that you're talking to is actually walking you through the process. Because, many times, if I call somebody, they're going to ask me a bunch of questions and they're going to say, okay, well, send somebody out, whatever it is, whatever trade it would be. But you don't get the person's going to come out, they're going to check this, this, and this. They're going to look at that, make sure this is available, make sure your attic space is open and they can get into it, make sure whatever. Yeah, I think that's great, actually, that right from the start, it gives you, it actually gives the customer some, comfort that, hey, I'm working with a company that kind of knows what they're doing. I do that. We do accounting and QuickBooks consulting. So someone will call me and I'll go through, I'll talk about QuickBooks and how it's set up and where the menu options are and what we're going to look at first. And, they many times over the phone, like, it sounds like you guys know what you're doing. Great. When can we sign up? So yeah, I think that's great. Let's talk about like innovation. I mean, again, I don't know much about the pest control industry. Is there much innovation going on in the industry, whether it's insect or wildlife, or has it been the same as 20 years ago or so?
20 years ago, it was spray, and that's about it. The innovations that have come out is there's different baits that are coming out now that really are highly effective to where you don't have to really spray a lot anymore. You can use bait. In lieu of that, they take the bait back to the colony, feed the colony. So there's all that kind of innovation. The products that we use are being more innovative by, you don't have to use as much product in your application sprayer. The product that we use now, I think we're down to 15 milliliters per gallon of water.
Wow.
So what I used to use is 2.5 ounces. So, I mean, we're talking significant amount of less concentrate being applied for better results. So yes, the innovation is highly done, but on the kind of the chemical side of it, right? The innovation for the services is, we get to apply less and still get the great results. So that's kind of where that innovation on that side comes in. I don't have to come in your house and spray every inch of the house. I can come in, pinpoint accurate my treatments, and then you're going to have the same results as if I just did the whole house, so that's where kind of our innovation comes on that side. Wildlife, a lot of innovation has come through on that end, as far as a lot of companies like to trap. They like to put the animal in the trap, carry the trap away, and you got the animal. We started choosing to go over to a one-way door system for even our raccoons and squirrels. So we come out, we seal off the whole house, and then where that entry is at, we put a one-way door. As that animal feels ready to come out to go get food or a drink or whatever, they come out and they cannot get back in. So there's no more harassing the animal. There's no more kind of dealing with that animal.
Sure.
It's more, you're letting kind of nature take its course, and letting that animal just kind of go out and do what the animal does. So you're not inflicting any kind of human interaction with them. So that's some innovation there. We've enjoyed that. It took about a year and a half to really kind of implement that all the way through, because it's new. We kind of got the idea off a company out of Canada. I was watching some YouTube videos on how do we do this better? How do we, the strictness of the government coming down on trapped animals is huge. They're telling us what animals we got to put down. We got to check the cages every single day. Customers cannot be responsible for that. So with all those kind of new restrictions coming down and the time period, again, we have industry standards. You can charge only so much to trap an animal, like before you get on the kind of that ridiculous side. So our job is to kind of be innovative, and how do we still solve the issue, but keep that cost at a good price for the customer also. So we brought in this one-way door, and that keeps us from going out to that house every single day, which is a savings on a customer, especially with the gas prices now. And that keeps us from having to handle the animal. And now I don't have to follow the guide restrictions of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources on what I can do and what I can't do with that animal. I don't have to follow. We let them go. There you go.
It seems much more humane too, because I'm not sure, some of these animals may actually return, right? Even if you trap them and bring them somewhere, and
some have to be euthanized as soon as you trap them. So I don't like that. I've never liked it. But we were now able to get away from that. So
that's good. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about franchising, because up until 2020 was you had your own couple of locations, I assume, and then you got into franchise. And what kind of led you down that path? And talk about kind of you've opened 5 in the last 2 years in the middle of a pandemic. So I'd love to hear about.
Yeah. So before I franchised, I had a location in Canton. I had a location in Youngstown. I had a location in Cleveland, and a location in Pittsburgh. So we had quite a few locations doing services. What got me into it is I've always wanted to expand. When I ran the other company with the 27 technicians, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the expansion. I enjoyed all that stuff. So I really wanted to expand my brand, because I feel like we're doing a really good job. Customers thoroughly enjoy having us do their services for them. So as an owner, you want to expand. I'm young, so I'm pretty aggressive on what I want. And to get there was expansion. And then you have kids, and then you realize being away is not the best. So franchising, I get to expand my brand in a different way. But then what else I get to do is help individuals become entrepreneurs. And I am a huge advocate of the small business. I'm a huge advocate of kind of planting your flag, if that is in the cards for you, and building your legacy in how you want to do it. So that's how the franchising came about. I enjoy helping individuals learn about business. I enjoy helping them grow their business. I enjoy giving the advice, the guidance. And then when it works, I enjoy watching their success. When it doesn't work, I enjoy coming back and revisiting what might have went wrong so we can fix it. I enjoy all that stuff. So that is my way to expand and do those things, but also still be home for my kids, my wife, and still be a dad and a husband at the same time. So,
I mean, was it a big lift for you to get into franchise, as far as, franchise agreement, what it's going to look like and what you're going to offer? And I mean, it sounds like it was a lot of work.
It's a ton of work, ton of work. We started the process in 2019.
Okay.
So it took about almost a full year before our franchise agreement was done, our operations manual was done. I think the operations manual was the hardest one, because you literally have to go back through and figure out, when you start work, what do you do? And then you got to kind of like all that stuff you got to put down in writing, like, I come in and I do this, and because it's almost like it's a playbook for what your day looks like.
Mhm.
Yeah, even down. I mean, I've seen some where it's like we turn the lights on when we come in. We change. We shut the alarm off. It's like a step-by-step, literal playbook of what does your day look like. So you unlock the front door. You unlock the front door. You come in. You set the stage for the day. You check your emails. You do that. So it was funny to do that because I don't know how you are, but my days I just do my day. I don't think about those
Right.
nuances of the little stuff. I think in bigger stuff like new services, new pricing, adjustments to this, adjustments to that, finding new products that are cheap. Like those are my big things. So to break it down into the little nuances.
Granted, most of the stuff you do during the day, right? I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it was interesting. It was fun. I enjoyed a lot of the going back through and kind of revisiting those. I mean, because I think it helped me also to readjust some of the stuff that I was doing because I didn't take a look at that for a while. So it helped me to readjust, refocus, maneuver some stuff around that I feel helped make it better for the franchising. So
who are the typical franchisees, owners? Are they other, single operator, like, pest control companies, or are they new to the whole industry and they say, hey, this looks like a great franchise to get involved in?
So my first one was actually my alarm and security guy for the offices. So he had corporate sales experience. He did come from an entrepreneurial background with his parents. And we just started talking about what we do at the company and how we're growing and the future plans. Then one day he called me up, he goes, hey, that franchising brochure that you gave me, let's do this thing.
Wow.
So that was pretty exciting. And he was the first one that we signed. The second one that we signed. So with franchising, you're going to always sell to your inner circle first.
Sure. Okay.
There's not a lot of outsiders on your first few. So the second guy was he was actually my hunting buddy. He installed garage doors for 30 years, and he just said, I'm done. Let's do this thing. And he jumped on board. And then our other one, she was my secretary for 2.5 years. And her and her family decided to take up the mantle and head to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and start working on a franchise down there. So that's our 3 franchisees. The first 2 ones that bought in actually bought additional territories for our 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds great. Now, how involved are you on a regular basis with them? Are you in contact?
A lot. I talk to pretty much all of them on a weekly, some on a daily, depends on like what they're working on. So there's a few contracts that have come up that, the one guy, our one franchise in Canton, he had a huge contract come up. So him and I've been talking back and forth quite a bit on that one. A lot of work. It's a 100-unit apartment complex for mice control. So that's a lot of units. That's a lot of mice. So him and I have been back and forth on that. The other ones, I always make sure I try to check in once or twice a week, even if I don't hear from them. A lot of times, if you don't hear from them, that's a good thing. That means they're just working. They're doing their thing. Everything's going pretty smooth. There's no hiccups. But I still try to make sure that I check in. And I will try to continue to do that for as long as possible. Because I think talking with them, reassuring that I'm here, got any questions for the week, how's your week going, just helps them just have that still connection.
Yeah.
That they know that I'm there for them for whatever they need. So
Now, do you supply them with product, or they okay, they go through you for that? And
yes,
I'm sure they report to you as on a regular basis, whether it's revenue or earnings.
Right. Yeah. So what's nice about the franchising thing is like that allows me to buy product and stuff in bulk. So I get to pass that savings to them so they pay a lot less for their products than if they sign up their own accounts and all this other stuff. Also kind of what they benefit from So like Ford company, we do all of our fleet through Ford. So over 6 years, I've built a reputation with Ford and bought enough vehicles off of them that, we actually just have an account. They call up, this is the truck I need. How much is it? Okay, great. Get it to me. And then that's all they got to do. It's pretty nice on that end. So yeah, they buy that stuff off of us. Other stuff they can go get themselves. We give them the design for the business cards, the brochures. They can go choose their own printer if they, whoever they choose. So
You all have the same logo and the
yes,
same feel and
yes.
all, like a franchise would. That's great.
Mhm.
And do you as internally your management team, do you practice some kind of operating system? Like we practice EO, so it's like the from the book Traction,
Okay.
all the operating system. But there's like EOs is scaling up, and there's like different systems. I'm not sure if you practice anywhere, you set your quarterly goals, you meet so often, you kind of go through an accountability chart of all your employees, and you rate them against your core values and things like that. I'm curious whether you do anything as structured as that, or you just meet as a team and kind of set your goals and go forward with that.
Yeah, right now we're in the process of kind of going in that direction.
Okay.
But right now we just meet as a team. We set forth our goals for the month, for the quarter, and then we start going after those goals. So we have started to implement a little bit more accountability, forms to fill out, that kind of stuff to keep track of sales, to keep track of leads.
Sure.
But so fun story, we just hired a gentleman for our corporate team. He's going to be our corporate trainer for all of our franchises. He was with Terminex and Ehrlich for the last 10 years. So kind of both. So pretty exciting to bring in a larger kind of structure to a small business that's trying to grow at the same time. So he's bringing in his education, and I mean, those companies train like crazy and they do very well. And they've got all these training programs. So we're now being able to implement different training programs from this guy.
Wow.
So we're hopefully here very soon, we're going to have the training of a larger corporation, but still have the touch of the small business. So kind of best of both worlds.
The sign of scaling, right? You start bringing in these seasoned, more experienced people.
We got lucky. How's that? I didn't really steal them. Somehow, funny story. My handyman that helps me like do some stuff at the office here for, adding on a room or built whatever. His friend coached his son's baseball team and somehow knew this guy that moved from California to Canfield, Ohio, which is in one of our little suburbs. And he was looking for a job, and he worked for it was like totally like,
wow.
Like to get here was really kind of a meant to be kind of coincidence.
Universe.
Yeah. So really cool. So no, we didn't steal them. We didn't headhunt them. We're not at that point yet. We kind of just got lucky, and he's bringing a lot of stuff to the table. And I can say this about the franchising. That's what helps. That's what's nice about it, because we're going to get, when you start getting 15, 20 franchises out there, you start getting the rumbles that you're starting to become. You're more than just an emerging brand now. You're kind of a player in the field. But what it helps to do is still give the customers that small business atmosphere. So, wherever you live at, if you bought a franchise, it's still you in that community. It's not corporate in that community.
Sure.
It's you. So you're still giving that small business feel with the backing of a, per se, larger corporation. So that's kind of exciting. So I get excited because the training that we're going to be able to give to our people and to our franchisees to give to their employees is going to be so much better than I could have gave on my own,
Yeah,
because I never experienced that kind of corporate training before. I mean, I put you in a truck for 2 weeks, show you what to do, and kick you out. I mean, that's what we did, right?
yeah,
Now we're doing a full month before we put you on your own. We have restrictions, we have schedules, we have, if you don't meet this criteria, you can't move to your next step of training yet. So we're bringing this great training into a small business atmosphere, and now I get to pass that on to my franchisees. So we get to invest in that, and our franchisees benefit from that investment. So
and the customers too. Yeah, so it goes all
yes.
through. That's awesome.
Yep.
Do you have what kind of systems do you use? Do you have like does the pest control industry have like field service applications, things like that, where you could just send out a notification to someone on the road to go by a certain place to go do the job type of thing? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So just like any industry, we have 5 or 6, 7 different routing software systems. We call them CRMs. That's the normal term.
Sure.
We choose to use a company called BrioStack. We feel that their routing software is fantastic. We just like them. They seem to have the best, for us, the best tools. We are currently working on a system, a CRM for us only, where we're going to own it. We're going to have all the licensing to it, and then we're going to pass it out to our franchisees. We can pass it to them for a little bit cheaper because there's no middleman. We can put in what we need, not what a lot of these CRMs are lacking in inventory control and that kind of stuff. So we get to do our own inventory program, and then again pass that to our franchisees. So that's our next step. That over the next course of a couple of years, we're going to want to get that completed as we grow and get more franchises.
Yeah. And then for accounting, being an accountant, I always have to ask the question: do you use QuickBooks or?
I do.
All right. Okay.
I do.
That's good. Another QuickBooks. So it's everything we do for the most part here with all our smaller companies, growing companies. We have companies that are in the multi-million-dollar companies on QuickBooks Advanced and Enterprise. So yeah. So, and just as far as you yourself, like how do you think you've grown kind of as a leader over the 25 years, from, working in the office to having, being, a franchise owner, or be a franchisor, I should say, and having multiple locations yourself?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I think my leadership kind of hit a nice stride when I was in charge of 27 technicians. That was a lot that I had to get organized. By nature, I'm kind of fly by the seat of your pants per se. It is what it is. I'll fix it when we got to.
You're a visionary. That's
it's big picture, and then I worry about the details when they come up. But running 27 men in 39 counties between 2 states,
wow.
I had to get organized. I had to make sure that my time was very much planned out, or it would just overrun you, because I was in charge of hiring, training, stocking of the vehicles, so all the inventory, complaints that came in. So I ran a gauntlet on that one. So I really learned how to get organized on that. Then you go into your own business, right? And then it's just you, and you're kind of like, I got nobody to boss around today. It's just me. So the organization kind of, if you don't use it for a while, you kind of
falls by the wayside.
So it's me in a truck and a laptop, and customers call up. I sell a job, put them in there, and get them scheduled, and then finish my day, and I go home. I mean, like, there was no, my wife helped me out with the books. So, by the time I got home, pretty much all my books were done for the day, because she was working on them throughout the day. so yeah, so kind of like fell by the wayside. Then you bring one guy on, and like I said, this guy was like a blessing, a huge blessing, and he self-organized. So again, him and I would sit down, and when we talked, it was kind of like I was talking to myself, like, oh,
Yeah.
great, you got it. Okay,
Got it,
fantastic.
good. I'm going off. Yeah,
I'll see you
right.
tomorrow. So, but then as you grew and as you started doing these things, and now you're looking at secretaries and another technician, now it's like riding a bike. You started kind of coming back to that organization, kind of coming back to that, making sure that accountability is held in there. So I think from then till now, I'm a lot more organized. I feel like I can pick people better as far as employees. I think I got a better eye for it. I still mess up. I still screw up. I still think this one's going to be great. And all of a sudden you're like, what happened to this one?
And then you hire someone who you're like, I'm not sure. And they end up becoming, a rock star, right?
Yeah.
So,
But I don't quote too many things, but there was a quote. So as far as our corporate team, I think we put together a great corporate team. We mesh well. We have the same vision. Everybody's excited, and everybody that we've hired has taken ownership of what they're doing. So we have a director of sales. He's taken a huge ownership of what he's doing. We have a marketing director, franchise developer, office administrator. Each one collectively has literally taken the ownership of what they're doing. So the one quote that I seen the other day that I kind of liked, surround yourself with people so that way when people look at you, they don't know who a leader is, because they're all leaders. They all
that's awesome.
present that persona that I own what I'm doing. So I think I've surrounded myself with a really good staff that's going to take us to where we need to go. It's just now kind of getting that engine running.
Sure.
We're in the franchise lull, they call it, where my inner circle has been done, and now we're looking for outside people to come in. So it's a little bit of a challenge. There's no doubt. We've had some pretty hot leads that have fallen on the wayside, but that's franchising. That's just all there is to it. So we're in that midst now. So
I've seen, through the years, I'll go on like these sites like Biz Buy Sell and things like that, where all these franchises are listed there. And I'm not sure where that, those are good places to kind of advertise, but I see a lot of that stuff. And a couple of podcasts I've done earlier, and are both the two recent ones were both franchisees, and they love it. One was a painting franchise, and her and her husband really like now the fourth largest franchisee of this company. And another one was in security, and he's bought up other franchises, so he's kind of doing his own roll up under a bigger umbrella. So yeah, it sounds like there's some great opportunities. I never really looked at it myself as my own business, but it sounds great. And I guess there's some big companies out there they're like a brand company with multiple franchises underneath them that you can kind of join.
yes.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Interesting. I was going to ask you, as you were talking about the wildlife, if there's any weird wildlife stories you may have had over the 25 years, some weird animals or anything that you may have come across in your, or is it most of it the raccoons, squirrels, mice, rats, snakes type of thing?
Yeah, nothing weird, unbelievable. I would put in there. I did an old Victorian style 3-story house. House probably had 3,500 bats in it.
Wow.
So that was an interesting one. The siding of the house was constantly moving when you got close to it, because the bats were behind the siding.
Wow.
So that was an interesting one. The bat waste was probably up to my hip, so probably 3.5 foot worth of bat guano in their attic alone. So that was an interesting one. Yeah, we were in
this house, right? Yeah.
And there was people living in the house. Yes. So that was an interesting one. I've pulled an owl out of a chimney, so that was pretty cool. Nothing like that. That was pretty interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So not like weird animals, but I did a house that had 15 raccoons living in it. So,
Huh.
and you like, when you look at the house, you wouldn't think of it because it was like this huge 6,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
But there was multiple entries. I mean, every day there was 4 or 5 raccoons being caught. So yeah, so interesting stories, but nothing like really kind of. I'm in Ohio. I mean,
Right. As you don't
you
see
know,
big predators,
yeah,
in people's homes.
right. When we hear about a bear in someone's backyard, it's like, whoa, a bear! Wow, that's pretty cool.
You haven't caught Bigfoot yet in anyone's house. So,
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
and so, what opportunities do you see just for growth in the future, as far as even in your industry? I know we chatted about it initially. Where do you see this whole industry going?
Well, during the pandemic, again, we talked about, this is not like a really kind of, I always say the word, it's not a sexy industry. It's not, we are, we're going to people's home and taking care of bugs and wildlife. I mean, it is what it is. But during the pandemic, across the United States in the industry, we grew 46% during that time period. So for an industry itself to have that kind of growth across all the scales is significant in showing that this industry is here to stay. It's a staple industry. We are deemed a very important part of the public health. We're critical, essential. So all these things, this is an industry that is not going anywhere. So if there are people that are looking to get into business, into something, yes, it's not crazy. You're not going to have some beautiful, gorgeous restaurant built. No, you can have a nice office. There's no doubt. I have a nice office that we bought, but we're not going to have the big, beautiful restaurants that are just decked out. No, you're going to have, you're killing bugs and you're getting rid of wildlife. But on the other end, we've seen how many of those big, glorious buildings were empty for a year because you couldn't even go in them, so, and we were growing. So this industry is here to stay. When I started in 2008, we had one of the worst recessions in the United States history. I mean, it was a bad recession. Well, we grew. So there's growth. There's always growth in this industry. You're talking, I just read the stats that by 2020, in 4 years, our industry is going to grow by $7 billion in 4 years.
Wow.
That is a substantial amount for a service industry that doesn't get a lot of kind of promotion, attention. I think you and I talked about it. I said, unfortunately, when you watch TV, like the bad guys are always the exterminators. Like you can go look at any movie or any TV show, and if there's a bad guy, he's got the pest control truck and the suit.
Yeah.
But we're not that. We are important to the public health. We are important to those things. You can look up any stats. If a home has roaches in it, the chances of the child having a huge asthma attack or going to the doctors more goes up substantially. If you have mice in the home and you have an allergy, it's going to cause an asthma or allergy increase. Like that's substantial numbers. Like you can just look those up and say, if I have mice in my house and I have allergies, is it going to cause worse issues? Yes, because the dander that they pass around, that kind of stuff. So, and I mean, you think of the bubonic plague. I mean, what spread that? It was rats.
Yeah.
And it was in a time where pest control, wasn't really looked at. I don't even know if it was technically being done yet, but so those things can still happen if we're not here, taking care of these issues. So it's not a sexy industry. It's a great industry though.
Yeah.
If you want continual work, if you never want to get shut down, if you continue to want to grow, this is the industry for it. We are set, I think, in the public's mind from the pandemic time, we're set. The stage is set for this industry to really start having a nice light shined on it and really ready to come forth. And people are going to start noticing that it's a good business to be in. It's healthy. And
You don't have to mortgage your future to go to college for this industry either, right? I mean, the training
Correct.
is there,
Correct.
and yeah. No, sounds like great opportunities, and great opportunities for you with the franchise model also. So
Mhm.
somebody kind of getting into it has kind of a whole roadmap, a whole operating manual, procedures, product, everything
Yes.
from you. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. So what kind of, I mean, we'll just get into you real quick. I know we spoke a lot. Just kind of what are your passions? What do you do outside of work? You said you have, it sounds like you have a couple of kids and you're married, and any hobbies, things you like to do?
Yeah, I like to watch my kids play sports. So my son is 12, entering his final year of Little League, which is kind of fun but sad at the same time. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping this year goes really well for him. I enjoy watching him. He enjoys it. Last year they got to go to states and compete against some pretty big teams and
Wow.
did very, very well. So we're hoping for the same thing this year, just maybe go to regionals. That's what their goals are. So I coach my daughter's softball team. So that's fun.
Yeah.
My oldest is starting to drive and she's in the track and volleyball right now. So that's kind of a big step.
Yeah.
Driving. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
My passions are, I love to hunt. That's one of my favorite things to do is bow hunt during the fall.
Okay, nice.
Nothing like sitting up in a tree in nature and getting your thoughts collected and just enjoying the beautiful sun rays and that come through the trees and stuff. So
how long would you sit in a tree? I'm just curious. I'm not a hunter, so it's all foreign to me, but what's that look like for like a number of hours waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, I've sat in a tree all day.
Okay. All right.
From sun up to sundown. I don't do that anymore too much. I'll choose either morning to go in or the evening to go in, sit for a couple hours. Life has just gotten too busy. So I don't have time to sit in a tree for 8 hours anymore.
Right.
So I pick and choose my times. I love going to the beach. Hilton Head, South Carolina is my normal destination for the beach. It's close, it's comfortable, it's fun. They got beautiful beaches. And so that's what I like to do with that.
What is the distance between where you are in Ohio and Hilton Head? Is that
12 hours?
Okay.
Yeah. So nice little drive. If you want to jump on a plane, it's an hour and 5-minute flight.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. All right. And where can people find you? Like I found you on LinkedIn, right? So it's under Anthony Farrell, right? Do you have your company website? What would that be under? Yeah.
Our company website is completepestsolution.com. No S on solution.
Okay.
And that's
Go ahead. Sorry.
That's our company website. And then we have completefranchising.us for our franchising page. So that's a totally separate website for franchising. Can
they get to it through your website too? The franchise?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I mean, someone listening may want to check into this, especially like you said, if this industry is going to grow 7 billion in the next 4 years, I mean, there's a huge opportunity for many people who are trying to figure out the next step in their careers or even an investment opportunity. Yeah. So cool. Well, I want to thank you, Anthony, for giving me the time today. We just, that there's probably a ton of other questions I'd love to ask you at some point, but maybe we'll have you on again after your 10th franchise or, keep growing. I want to thank everyone who's listening. If you liked it, I encourage you to share. And again, thanks, Anthony. And this has been another episode of Leaders Who Scale. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at leaderswhoscale.com. Leaders Who Scale is sponsored by Siegel Solutions, providing world-class services and cutting-edge tools that help businesses grow and succeed.